The clinking of the spoon against my crystal champagne flute echoed through the banquet hall, silencing the 200 guests. They all turned to look at me, the devoted wife of 25 years, standing next to the man of the hour. It was Paul's 50th birthday. The lights were dimmed, the jazz band had paused, and the spotlight was on us. Paul stood beside me, looking handsome in his bespoke tuxedo, sweating slightly under the heat of the lights, a smug smile plastered on his face. He expected a speech about his genius, his kindness, his incredible journey from mailroom clerk to CEO, and I was going to give him a speech, just not the one he wrote for me on the index cards trembling in my left hand. "To my husband," I began, my voice steady despite the hurricane raging inside my chest. "To the man who has everything." I paused, letting the silence hang. My eyes scanned the room, bypassing the investors, the family friends, the golf buddies, until they landed on her. Table 4, seat 1, right in the front row. Chloe, his 24-year-old executive assistant. She was clapping enthusiastically, her head thrown back, her neck exposed. And there it was, glinting under the chandelier lights like a beacon of my own stupidity. My necklace. Not just any necklace. The custom-designed platinum pendant with the rare teardrop sapphire surrounded by 12 diamonds. The necklace I had designed with a private jeweler 6 months ago. The necklace Paul had hidden away in the safe, promising to give it to me next week for our silver wedding anniversary. He told me it was being polished. He told me it was a symbol of our unbreakable bond. And now, it was resting on the sweaty collarbone of a woman young enough to be our daughter. I looked at Paul. He followed my gaze. I saw his eyes widen. I saw the color drain from his face as he realized his mistake. He had gotten careless. He thought I was blind. He thought I wouldn't notice my own design just because it was on another woman's neck. I looked back at the crowd. I raised my glass higher. "I promised to give you a surprise tonight, Paul," I said into the microphone, my voice turning icy. "And I never break a promise. So, for your 50th birthday, I'm giving you exactly what you've been begging for silently for the last year." Paul reached for my arm, his grip painful. "Anne, don't," he hissed through his teeth. I pulled away violently. I want a divorce. The gasp that went through the room sucked the air out of the building. But I wasn't done. "And since you clearly already gave my anniversary gift to your mistress at table 4, I assume you won't mind if I take the house, the cars, and the offshore accounts you thought I didn't know about." I dropped the microphone. It hit the floor with a deafening screech that matched the ringing in my ears. But before the chaos erupted, before the security guards rushed the stage, and before my life as Mrs. Paul Sterling officially ended, you need to understand how we got here. You need to understand that the necklace wasn't just jewelry. It was the price of my silence for 25 years. Let's go back to the beginning. Before the mansions, before the private jets, and before Chloe. When I met Paul, he didn't have a sapphire necklace to give anyone. He barely had a shirt on his back. It was 1998. I was working as a junior architect, and he was a temp at a logistics firm. He was charming, yes, but he was lost. He had big dreams, but no discipline. I was the one who woke him up at 5 a.m. to study for his business degree. I was the one who paid our rent for 3 years, while he bounced between startup ideas that went nowhere. I remember one night, eating instant noodles on our secondhand sofa. He took my hand and looked at me with those puppy dog eyes. "One day, Anne," he promised. "One day I'm going to cover you in diamonds. I'm going to build you a castle. You're my queen." I believed him. I invested in him. I put my own architectural career on hold when he finally launched Sterling Logistics. I became his unpaid accountant, his HR manager, his therapist, and his janitor. I designed the company logo. I negotiated the lease for his first warehouse. I built the foundation he stood on. For 24 years, I thought we were partners. Sure, he got busier. He traveled more. He started missing dinners. He started buying flashy cars. But I told myself it was the cost of success. I told myself he was doing it for us. If you've ever supported a partner through their darkest times, sacrificing your own dreams only to be pushed aside the moment the sun starts shining on them, hit the like button. Let me know I'm not the only one who knows that specific kind of heartbreak. It's important for us to stick together, because what he did next goes beyond simple cheating. It was psychological warfare. 6 months ago, we started planning our double celebration, his 50th birthday and our 25th silver anniversary. They were only 2 weeks apart. "I want to make the anniversary special, Anne," he had said, sitting in his leather office chair, looking at his phone instead of me. 25 years. That's a quarter of a century. It deserves a monument. I was touched. I thought the old Paul was coming back. So, I took him to a high-end jeweler. I spent weeks sketching a design. A sapphire for loyalty, diamonds for endurance. It was a masterpiece. When it was finished, the jeweler handed the velvet box to Paul. "Hide it," I told him teasingly. "Make me wait until the big day. I'll put it in the office safe," he said, kissing my forehead. No peeking. Then came Chloe. She started at the firm 4 months ago. The classic cliché. Fresh out of college, eager, hungry to learn. Paul called her a breath of fresh air. Suddenly she was everywhere. She was organizing his calendar. She was picking up his dry cleaning. She was texting him at 10 p.m. about urgent contracts. I tried to be the cool wife. I invited her to lunch. I tried to mentor her. I remember sitting across from her at a bistro, watching her pick at a salad. "Mr. Sterling is just so inspiring," she gushed, her eyes wide. "He talks about you all the time, Mrs. Sterling. He says you're like a mother figure to him. A mother figure. That should have been the red flag that burned the whole city down. But I ignored it. I was too busy planning the gala of the century for his 50th. I hired the caterers. I booked the band. I sent out the invites. I wanted everything to be perfect. 2 days before the party, I went to his office to drop off his tuxedo. The office was empty. Chloe's desk was right outside his door. It was messy, covered in files and coffee cups. But something caught my eye. A post-it note stuck to her computer monitor. In Paul's handwriting. "Can't wait to see you shine on Saturday. Wear the blue dress. I have the perfect accessory to match." My stomach dropped. Saturday was the party. Why was he telling his assistant what to wear? And what accessory? I felt a cold dread wash over me. I walked into his office and went straight to the wall safe behind the painting. I knew the combination. It was our wedding date. Or at least, it used to be. I turned the dial. Click. It didn't open. I tried again. Nothing. He had changed the combination. I stood there staring at the cold steel, realizing that I was locked out of more than just a safe. I was locked out of his life. But I still didn't think he would be stupid enough to give her my necklace. I thought maybe he bought her earrings. A bracelet. Something generic for a valued employee. I convinced myself I was crazy. I went home and took a Xanax. I told myself to focus on the party. The night of the party arrived. I put on my silver gown. I did my hair. I looked in the mirror and told myself, "You are Anne Sterling. You built this empire. Hold your head up." We arrived at the venue. Paul was charming, shaking hands, laughing. Chloe wasn't there yet. "Where's your assistant?" I asked casually during the cocktail hour. "Oh, she's running late," Paul said, adjusting his cufflinks. "She had a wardrobe malfunction. You know how young girls are." An hour later, we sat down for dinner. The lights went down. The speeches began. And then, the doors opened. Chloe walked in. She was wearing a deep blue strapless dress. It was tight, revealing, and completely inappropriate for a corporate event. But that wasn't what stopped my heart. Around her neck, resting perfectly against her skin, was the platinum chain, the teardrop sapphire, the 12 diamonds. She walked to table 4, smiling at Paul. He smiled back, a secret, intimate smile that stripped me naked in front of hundreds of people. He didn't just give her a necklace. He gave her my design. He gave her my 25 years of loyalty wrapped in a velvet box. He was re-gifting my life to his mistress. That was the moment the sadness died. That was the moment the mother figure died. I looked at the champagne glass in my hand. I looked at the microphone. And I realized that I didn't need a safe combination to destroy him. I just needed a voice. The sound of the microphone hitting the floor was like a gunshot. For 3 seconds, nobody moved. The jazz band stared at their instruments. The waiters froze with trays of champagne. Even Chloe, down at table 4, looked like a deer caught in headlights, her hand instinctively clutching the sapphire necklace as if it burned her skin. Then, Paul moved. He didn't run to me. He didn't apologize. He snatched up the microphone, his face a mask of desperate, furious charm. "Ladies and gentlemen," he laughed, a nervous, cracking sound that fooled no one. "Please forgive my wife. She's not been herself lately. The stress of the planning, the medication she's taking for her nerves. It makes her say crazy things. The necklace is just a loan. A prop for the evening. Please, enjoy your dinner. DJ, play the music." He signaled frantically to the security team. 2 large men in black suits started walking toward me, not to help me, but to escort the crazy wife off the stage so the king could continue his coronation. Paul grabbed my arm, leaning in close so only I could hear him. His grip was bruising. "You ungrateful, psychotic bitch," he hissed, his charming mask slipping completely. "You just humiliated me in front of the board, in front of investors. Do you have any idea what you've done? You fix this. You get back on that mic and tell them it was a joke. Or I swear to God, Anne, you will walk out of this marriage with nothing but the clothes on your back." I looked at him, really looked at him. For years, I had seen a stressed genius. Now I just saw a scared little bully. "I'm not fixing anything, Paul," I whispered back, calm as the eye of a storm. "And as for leaving with nothing, you might want to check your email." I sent a little notification to the board of directors 5 minutes before I got on stage. They now have the receipts for the consulting fees you've been paying to Chloe's personal LLC for the last 6 months. Embezzlement is a nasty word, isn't it? Paul's face went from red to ghost white. He let go of my arm as if I were radioactive. I didn't wait for security. I walked down the stairs of the stage with my head high. The crowd parted for me, murmuring. I could hear the whispers. "Did she say mistress? Is that the necklace? Look at his face." As I passed table 4, Chloe stood up. She looked terrified, tears welling in her eyes. "Mrs. Sterling, I didn't know. He told me." I stopped. I didn't scream at her. I didn't throw a drink in her face. That's what a crazy woman would do. Instead, I leaned in and spoke clearly enough for the surrounding tables to hear. "He told you I was crazy? That we were separated? That I didn't understand him?" I smiled, a sad, pitying smile. "Honey, he told me the same things about his ex-fiancée 25 years ago. You're not special. You're just the next victim. But a word of advice? Take off the necklace. It's insured in my name, and if you leave the building with it, I'll have you arrested for grand larceny before you reach the valet." I walked out of the banquet hall and into the cool night air. I didn't cry. I didn't collapse. I got into my car, drove to a hotel I had booked 3 days ago, ordered room service, and turned off my phone. Now, I have to ask you something. There are people who say I went too far, that I should have handled this privately, with dignity, instead of ruining a man's 50th birthday party. But I believe that when the disrespect is that loud, the apology, or the revenge, needs to be even louder. What would you have done? Would you have swallowed the insult, clapped for him, and waited to confront him at home? Or do you agree that seeing your own anniversary gift on another woman's neck justifies burning the whole house down right there and then? Tell me in the comments below. I read every single one, and I really need to know if I'm the villain in this story, or just a woman who finally stood up. The next morning, the war truly began. I woke up to 45 missed calls from Paul and 10 from his lawyer. I ignored them all and called the only person I needed, my forensic accountant, Sarah. "Did you do it?" I asked, sipping my coffee. "It's done," Sarah replied, her voice crisp. "We froze the joint accounts at 9 a.m. sharp. The bank flagged the suspicious transfers he made to Chloe last week, just like you predicted. His credit cards are bricks. And Anne, you were right about the house. He refinanced it without my signature, I guessed. Worse," Sarah said. "He tried to transfer the deed to a holding company managed by, you guessed it, Chloe." My blood ran cold. It wasn't just an affair. He was planning to discard me completely. He was going to kick me out of the home I designed, the home where we raised our imaginary future, and move her in. He wasn't just cheating. He was trying to erase me. "But he made a mistake," Sarah continued, and I could hear the smirk in her voice. "Since the original deed is in the Sterling Family Trust, and you are the primary trustee thanks to that paperwork you made him sign in 2010 when he had that gambling scare, he can't transfer anything without your biometric approval. The transfer is void. The house is legally 100% yours." I hung up the phone and felt a surge of adrenaline. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the executioner. I checked out of the hotel and drove back to the mansion. I expected to find Paul there, begging or screaming, but when I pulled into the driveway, I saw something that made me slam on the brakes. There was a moving truck in the driveway. Chloe's car was parked on the lawn, and Paul was standing on the porch, directing movers who were carrying my antique furniture out of the house. He wasn't waiting for the divorce. He was looting the place. I stepped out of the car, my heels clicking on the pavement. Paul saw me and marched over, looking disheveled, still wearing yesterday's tuxedo pants and a wrinkled t-shirt. "You locked me out of the bank accounts," he screamed, spitting as he spoke. "My cards were declined at the hotel. Do you know how embarrassing that was? I had to have Chloe pay for the room." "Karma is expensive, Paul," I said calmly. "I hope she has a high credit limit." "What are you doing with my furniture?" "It's community property," he yelled. "I'm taking what's mine. I'm selling it. I need cash since you decided to play games. And Chloe is moving in. Since you left, this is our house now. The police said it's a civil matter. They won't remove me." He smirked, thinking he had won, thinking that possession was 9/10 of the law. "Chloe is moving in?" I asked, looking over his shoulder at the girl who was currently trying to shove my grandmother's vanity table into the truck. She was still wearing the necklace. The audacity was breathtaking. "Yes," Paul sneered. "So why don't you get back in your car and leave? You're trespassing." I reached into my purse. I didn't pull out a gun. I pulled out a folded piece of paper. "The deed." "Actually, Paul," I said, unfolding the document, "I think there's been a misunderstanding. But don't worry, I didn't call the police this time." I pointed down the street. "I called them." Paul turned around. A black SUV with tinted windows was rolling slowly up the street. It wasn't the police. It was his company's board of directors. And sitting in the passenger seat was the chairman, Mr. Henderson, a man known for his strict moral code and his hatred for embezzlement. And behind them, a news van. The look on Paul's face when Henderson stepped out of that black SUV is something I will cherish until my dying day. It was a mix of confusion and pure, unadulterated terror. Mr. Henderson wasn't just his boss. He was the man who had mentored Paul. He was the moral compass of the company, and he was holding a thick file folder that I recognized immediately. It was the dossier Sarah and I had compiled. "Paul," Mr. Henderson said, his voice low and dangerous, ignoring the hand Paul extended. "We need to talk. Now." "Sir, I can explain," Paul stammered, glancing nervously at the news van that was setting up a camera on the sidewalk. "This is a domestic dispute. My wife is hysterical. She's trying to ruin my reputation." "Your reputation is already ruined, son," Henderson spat. "We received the notification from Anne this morning. We've been reviewing the accounts for the last 4 hours. You didn't just embezzle funds to pay your mistress. You compromised client trust accounts. That's federal territory." Chloe, realizing the gravity of the situation, tried to sneak back into the house, but I wasn't going to let her disappear into the shadows. "Going somewhere, Chloe," I called out loud enough for the news crew to pick up. "I wouldn't go inside if I were you. The police are on their way, and I think they'll be very interested in that necklace you're wearing." At the mention of police, Chloe froze. She looked at Paul, desperate for him to save her. "Paul, what is she talking about? You said you bought it." Paul was hyperventilating. His empire was crumbling in real time. Then, the sirens wailed. Not one car, but 2. They pulled up right behind the news van, blocking the driveway. Officers stepped out. I walked calmly towards them, the deed to the house in one hand, and the insurance appraisal for the necklace in the other. "Officers," I said, projecting confidence. "I'm Ann Sterling. I'm the owner of this property. These 2 individuals are trespassing. Furthermore," I pointed a perfectly manicured finger at Chloe, "that woman is in possession of stolen property valued at $50,000. I have the receipt, the design sketches, and the insurance policy right here. It was taken from my safe without my permission." The lead officer looked at the papers, then at the necklace on Chloe's neck. It was undeniable. "Ma'am," the officer said to Chloe, walking up the driveway, "I need you to step away from the moving truck. And I'm going to need you to hand over that jewelry. Now." Chloe started sobbing. "He gave it to me. He said it was a gift. Paul, tell them." But Paul couldn't tell them anything. He was too busy being cornered by Mr. Henderson and 2 other board members. "You're fired, Paul," Henderson's voice boomed. "Effective immediately. Security is already clearing out your office. Your company car has been repossessed, and our lawyers will be contacting you about restitution. If you can't pay back the $3 million you stole, we will press charges." Paul looked at me. His eyes were wild, pleading. The arrogance was gone. The king was just a beggar in a dirty t-shirt. "Anne," he choked out. "Anne, please, stop this. I'll leave Chloe. I'll do anything. Don't let them arrest me. Don't let them take the company. We can fix this. We have 25 years. I looked at him, and for a second, I remembered the man I used to love. But then I looked at the necklace being unclasped from Chloe's neck by a police officer. We had 25 years, Paul, I said coldly. You sold them for a midlife crisis and a cheap thrill. The transaction is non-refundable. This is the moment where the bully realizes he never had any real power. It was all borrowed from the woman he tried to destroy. If you are cheering right now, if you love seeing a cheater lose everything, his job, his house, and his mistress, in a single afternoon, please subscribe to the channel. Join our sisterhood. We have thousands of stories like this, and trust me, the next one is even more explosive. You do not want to miss it. The officer walked over to Paul. Mr. Sterling, we also have a warrant for your arrest regarding the check fraud associated with the embezzlement. The board provided the evidence. Paul was handcuffed right there on the lawn of the mansion he thought he had stolen. The news cameras captured every second. The flashing lights reflected off the tears streaming down his face. Chloe, he screamed as they shoved him into the back of the cruiser. Call my lawyer. Call the firm. But Chloe wasn't calling anyone. She was busy being cited for possession of stolen goods, and was currently being told by another officer that she had 5 minutes to get her car off the property before it was towed. I stood on the porch, my porch, and watched the show. The neighbors were out on their lawns, watching the downfall of the golden couple, but they weren't looking at me with pity anymore. They were looking at me with fear and respect. As the police cars drove away with my husband, and Chloe sped off in her hatchback crying hysterically, Mr. Henderson walked up to me. I'm sorry it came to this, Anne, he said, tipping his hat. You were always the brains behind him. We knew it. We just didn't know how bad he was without you. Thank you, Arthur, I replied. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some redecorating to do. I hate this furniture anyway. I turned around and walked back into my empty, quiet, beautiful house. I closed the heavy oak door, shutting out the sirens, the cameras, and the past. But the story doesn't end with him in jail. Oh no. The best part is what happened 6 months later, when he tried to call me from prison. The phone rang on a Tuesday afternoon. I was sitting on my patio, reviewing blueprints for a new boutique hotel I had been hired to design. Yes, I relaunched my architecture career, and it turns out I'm even better than I was 25 years ago. I looked at the caller ID. Unknown number. I usually ignore these, but intuition told me to answer. An automated voice spoke. You have a collect call from an inmate at State Correctional Facility. To accept charges, press 1. I pressed 1. Not out of kindness, out of curiosity. Anne? Paul's voice was unrecognizable. Cracked, desperate, broken. Anne, thank God. You have to help me. It's a nightmare in here. The food, the people. I'm scared, Anne. I need money for the commissary. I need a better lawyer. The public defender is useless, please. I know you still care. I took a sip of my iced tea. The condensation felt cool against my hand. Paul, I said softly, do you remember the sapphire necklace? The necklace? He stammered. Anne, who cares about the necklace? I'm in prison. I sold it. I continued, ignoring him. I sold it for $60,000, and I used the money to start a scholarship fund for young female architects. I named it the Silver Lining Scholarship. So, in a way, your betrayal helped launch the careers of 3 brilliant young women this year. You finally did something good, Paul. Silence on the other end. Then, a sob. And as for money, I added, I suggest you call Chloe. Oh, wait. You can't. She changed her number. I heard she's working double shifts at a diner in Jersey to pay off her legal fees. Turns out being an accomplice to fraud isn't great for the resume. Anne, please, he begged. I have no one. You have exactly what you invested in, Paul, I said. Nothing. I hung up the phone. I blocked the number, and I never looked back. Today, the Sterling Logistics Company doesn't exist anymore. It was dissolved to pay back the debts. But my life, it's just beginning. I wake up every day in a house that is legally mine, bought with money I earned, sleeping in a bed that holds no secrets. I learned that a silver anniversary isn't about the years you spent together. It's about the strength you forged during those years. He gave me a necklace to mark 25 years of silence. I traded it for a lifetime of voice. So, to every woman listening, if you see your husband giving your place to another woman, whether it's a necklace, a seat at the table, or your own bed. Don't wait for permission to take it back. Flip the table. Call the board. Call the police. And never, ever apologize for being the smartest person in the room. Thank you for listening to my story. It feels good to finally say it out loud. If my victory brought a smile to your face, then the battle was worth it. But hold on. You think my husband was audacious? You need to hear the story that is on your screen right now. Imagine coming home from your husband's funeral, grieving and broken, only to find your mother-in-law changing the locks on your front door. She claimed the house was hers now that her son was gone. Click the video to see how the wife used a single piece of paper to throw the old witch out on the street in the middle of a snowstorm. It is the most satisfying eviction you will ever witness.